Everyone, I am Jamie Wilson, and I am a professor here at FGCU, and I'm also serving as the faculty liaison for the Office of Service Learning and Civic Engagement here at FGCU. And what we're going to talk about today is how you as students can best prepare for Community Engagement Day at Eagle X. I'm going to review the judging rubric and go over what each of those mean so that you can have a really fantastic time at Eagle X and feel very confident in your presentation when you show up on that day. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to chat about different scenarios. You can go back at any time to view this, and I also will make sure that you have a copy of this slideshow as well. So this right here is the judging rubric. You'll have a copy of this rubric so you know how to formulate your presentation. This is what the judges will be using when they come to your table to chat with you and your group mates if that's applicable. And so you'll notice that these are the objectives on the left-hand side. This is how you're going to score, 5 obviously being the highest score possible. And then they will also mark what community partner or agency that you worked with. And then if you worked with a professor, their name down below. So if at all possible, you'll make sure that you have this information, or they may ask it if it's not super apparent during your presentation. So we're going to spend some time talking about each of the different sections. The first section that you see here is it kind of really dictates what you're going to be chatting about when the judges come around, is the why behind what you did. So we want to make sure as judges, we hear your clear and meaningful objective. So that means that you're going to go back to why you chose to do this project. What was the need and how did you serve that? It's a really great idea to put the objective really big somewhere. Maybe if you're doing a trifold, or if you're doing multiple folder or, posters, if you're doing anything that you want to make sure that anybody walking by, if they do not get a chance to talk to you, they can quickly look over and see what your objective was for the project. And that will obviously give them some background information. So this will be a one sentence statement that explains what you did, why you did it, and what were the results that you wanted to achieve at the end of it. So I obviously gave you an example here. And this, if you made a plan for your project, if you had anything that you had to create at the beginning of this, that's really great to go back and look at to see what were those objectives that you set at the very beginning of this semester, and then if you achieved those objectives at the end. So something to think about, and something to think about clearly stating in your own words, and also somewhere in your poster or presentation. The next one that you're going to see is descriptions of the actions taken from beginning to end. So this could be, again, how you set up your poster. It could be, these are the steps we took to complete the objectives. Really spell it out for people. First, we did this. Then we did this. To finalize the project, we did this. I love to see, as a judge, I love to see this look like in photos and images and graphs and those really cool things to show the different steps. Did you have meetings with a community partner? Did you have to synthesize some data? What did that look like at the end of it? So really think about creating a visual story with your presentation, and also everyone who's presenting should have an idea of the steps you took. Really make sure that you're clear with those, so the judges who come by or any visitors that come by to your table know what you're talking about. The next part is results or impact of the project. And you can do this with visuals is a great way to do this. And if think about to the steps that you took, you could combine these. So what were the results? What was the final outcome of this? Did you collect data? And can you show us that data? Did you create a survey? Because that would have been part 1 of the step you took, and maybe the final data that was collected was in part 3. Did you do a drive? Can you show me all of the of the items that you collected in the drive? Did you create something for someone? Can you show me examples of the creations that you made? Those are really cool opportunities for the people coming to your table to see what you created out of those objectives that you set. What were the big milestones? What are the celebrations? And so you can do those in a variety of ways. I always tell my students, show, don't tell, right? It's one thing to say, we collected 100 coloring books and 60 packs of crayons. It's another thing to show a great image with the kids standing around it who benefited from that. What's the long-term impact? I would say is a really difficult part sometimes for us students to think about, our students to think about if we're just doing this for the semester, right? Sometimes in our heads, we don't think about how this is going to continue past me being in this class, right? So think about are your, as a student, what are your personal sustainability of this project? Has it inspired you to continue working with this community partner? Did you create something that the community partner will keep using long after your time is done with them this semester? Did it further some research ideas that you may have that you want to continue on? Does it apply to your major? So how does this continue? How does this work that you're doing now continue after you leave this class? Personally, for the community partner, for that partnership between you and that person, how does this continue? I would say that this is something when as a judge I'm looking for, and sometimes this is hard for students to articulate. So really think this through, and it may be helpful to talk about it with the professor as well. How did it meet the needs of the community partner? So how did you know to do this, right? It's not enough that it was your teacher said, hey, let's do this, right? So can you go back to data that says that this was needed? Did the community partner tell you that this was a need in the community? Did the community partner say, hey, we would love help with this. We need this and we aren't able to do this. Could you fill this need for us in the community? Is it something that you have studied? You found data in research that said that this is such an important work? Are you creating something that fulfilled a need that wasn't met before? So why is this work important is what we want to see there. How does it connect to what we're doing in your course? So how does it connect to your class objectives, right? So if you have a specific class, let's say you're in a marketing class, and one of the goals is to create a PR package for a specific community partner. So was this fulfilling a need for the course? And then to go a step further, how does it relate to your sustainable development goals, which are known as the SDGs? You can quickly Google those, and the career readiness competency. So how does it relate to those? How does it relate to what you want to do in your career? How does it relate to, how does it connect to the community and what the community needs at this time? Is there a specific need that you're filling? So really thinking about the connections for yourself, for the community, for the university, those things. I love to tell students that the visual shouldn't look like 8 different people made it, right? It should seem seamless, right? So even if you have 8 different posters, or if you have one giant poster, it should look aesthetically pleasing. It should look like you took some time and thought. You looked at the judging rubric, you included those items in your presentation, how you decided to present. Things are easy to read. I don't want to get really have to get close to it with a magnifying glass, right, to read. So don't think about printing like essays and pasting those on there. Really think about how you're going to draw attention to the different types of judging rubric. You want to get points in those rubric, so don't make it difficult for us to assign you those points, right? Be very specific about how you want others to view that. Think about, are the colors good for us to see, right? As can we make sure that if things are glued on, that they're staying on, right? If you have things that people that you want them to take or interact with, which we'll get to in the rubric, make sure that's really apparent. There's little signs available. So make it easy for us to understand, easy for us to read, and make it look good. Practice your sales pitch. A big thing of this is there are going to be different people coming up to you talking, and there may be a lot of people at one time at one table, or maybe there be just a couple. So that means that, let's say if there's 5 people in a group, 5 of you need to know the same spiel. So I always tell my students to practice a sales pitch. Practice a couple, 2-3 minutes of a rehearsed sales pitch. Should have your objectives, should have the steps that you took. How does it relate to those competencies, right? Think about all the outcomes that you did. And you can use your visual as a reminder. So it's not, you don't have to memorize a speech, right? You can use your visuals as a jumping point to interact with the people coming to your table and interact with them about what you did. Keep in mind that if you wanted to have a presentation, maybe different people in your group, you can move them along your table. Maybe the first person's going to talk about the objective. The second person's going to talk about the steps that you took, and so on and so forth. Maybe you want everyone to be able to say the whole spiel. So think about what you want to share. What are the areas that you want to highlight? You really want to draw attention to your accomplishments, your achievements. This is a celebration of all the work that you did throughout the semester. Keep in mind too that you'll need people to really draw individuals in and answer questions. That's another thing. Practice answering questions. Have someone in your class ask you questions. Have your professor ask you questions. Simple questions like, how did you come up with this idea? Sometimes students can't answer that question. So how did you come up with that idea? Think back to your objective. Think back to your why. What goals did you have with this project? So what did you want to accomplish before you even started? Did you meet those goals? How would this work continue, right? That leads to the idea of the sustainability. What was your favorite part of this project? Was it the most challenging obstacle? Think about what you enjoyed and what was difficult, because there's great reflection and things that didn't go well. Things that were difficult are great learning opportunities. We love to hear those things. And what did you learn from this experience? Did you work with kids and that really solidified the work that you're doing in your major? Has it really forced you to really think about the steps that you're going to take maybe for an internship or your coursework or future volunteer opportunities? We love to hear those different things. So think about how you would answer questions like this. Practice people asking you questions and everyone taking a turn answering. It's not just one person answering the questions for your group. This is another one that sometimes trips students up, so I'd like to spend some time talking about this. There needs to be kind of a creative and interactive component in your presentation. It doesn't mean that sometimes students think about it that, you're teaching a class and people are answering questions. It doesn't have to be as cut and dry in that. Really try to be creative in your attack of this part. Think about what you enjoy when you go up, and I always tell students, when you go up to a table on campus, what do you enjoy that's interactive, that maybe you could put inside this presentation? I always tell students to think about what they did in the project and see if they can replicate that. So for example, one of my projects that my students did, one of it was a letter writing campaign. And we did it on cards that were donated by Hallmark, and the students wrote it to senior citizens and created pen pals. So simply what we did is at that table, we had those Hallmark cards available. We had a sign that said, write a note of appreciation, of kindness to someone in your community, and people could write the notes right there. We had pens available, we had markers available. We had things for them to take, like stickers and bookmarks. And then there was an interactive component that complemented what my students did in the project. So think about things that you did. Think about whole body experiments. I've seen really cool presentations. If they have worked with community partners that may be working on fine motor skills or doing different types of activities, replicate that. You could have QR codes for people to scan to sign up. Some people I've seen have signed petitions, have taken pamphlets and have signed up to be a walker. Different hands-on activities. If you created hands-on activities for a certain community partner, could you replicate those? So really be creative, have fun with this component. So hopefully you have looked at the judging rubric. You have an idea of how this looks for your specific presentation. ask your professor for clarification. You certainly can message me at jawilson@fgcu.edu. And I just encourage students to have fun, use this as a celebration of all the work that you've been doing, and really think about, in the grand scheme of things, that this is a moment of celebration for you and your fellow presenters of all the work that you've done this semester. And it's a great capstone to the semester. And we look forward to seeing all of your projects at the end. Take care.